D Magazine, which covers the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas, did a long profile on Sting, which is really good, and you should all go out of your way to read it if you have the time. It's long, but it's good. That's what she said. Covering his career, his run in WWE, all the way up through his current run with AEW. And we now know when Sting's contract with AEW expires. It is this year. Now, he will not say the exact date, but it expires sometime this year. Now, he told the magazine that when it does, that will be the last that we see of him in the face paint in a wrestling ring. He debuted for AEW at Winter is Coming in 2020. And I remember at the time it was said that it was a multi-year deal. So let's assume that it was a 3-year deal. If it's up this year, then it would be up at the end of this year. So we could be looking at Sting's last match maybe at Full Gear in November. They only do 4 pay-per-views a year. If Sting's wrestling his final match, you got to build that shit up for a pay-per-view. You can't give that away on TV. Full Gear is their last pay-per-view of the year. That, to me, would be the most likely place for it. When I did my predictions at the beginning of this year, I said that Sting would wrestle his final match in 2023, and that it would be alongside Darby Allin in a tag team match against Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara. That was my prediction. Sting and Jericho, they have never worked together before, and I think he would be the perfect final opponent for Sting if he doesn't want to work a singles match, which he has said he does not want to. So, for all the people saying that, oh, I want to see him against Darby, that should be the match, Sting has said he does not want to do a singles match. It's too bad because I think there's a great story to tell by having him challenge MJF for the AEW World title. You know, having him fall short and then using that as a catalyst for Darby then to go after MJF for the belt. Because I've talked about circling back to Darby and MJF again. That would be one way to do it. So it's too bad that he doesn't want to do a singles match. But a tag team match would allow him to go out a winner and give fans a crowd-pleasing moment, a happy ending, you know, especially if it was against Jericho. Jericho can lose. I mean, who the fuck cares? Jericho lost to Action Andretti. Believe me, Chris Jericho can do the job for Sting. FTR would be another great choice against Sting and Darby, but I think Jericho is going to be involved in some way. Jericho always finds a way to get involved in some way, so I think he'll be part of it. But you know, he put that face paint on, Sting did, for the first time when he was 27 years old. The man is now 63. When Sting was born, a gallon of gas was 25 cents, and the first Barbie doll was sold. And yet, the man is still going out there and performing at a high level. He's jumping off entrance tunnels. He's taking bumps through tables. He's doing balcony dives. He is one of the few at his age being a wrestler who still has all of his original body parts. Nothing has been replaced yet. Wearing the face paint, you know, that helps, I think, in hiding his age. But you put a mic in this man's hand, he can still cut a better promo than most people. Pairing him up with Darby Allin was the smartest thing that Tony Khan could have done. In fact, I would argue that of all the things that Tony Khan has done in bringing in legends and WWE people, maybe the single smartest and best thing that Tony Khan has done was to pair off Sting with Darby Allin. And I do think that working with Sting has helped get Darby over as a bigger star. Now, he was already over. The people loved him. But I think it's helped him a lot. And it probably has helped Sting also find this fountain of youth. You know, going out there and seeing what Darby is doing has probably rubbed off on Sting. I mean, for better or worse. He's doing fucking balcony dives. But it's rubbed off on Sting, which is why we see him doing some of the crazy shit that he does. His year in WWE was supremely unsatisfying. His year in WWE was just a massive disappointment. Part of that was no one's fault. You know, he was, you know, in a position where he got hurt, and it happens. But part of it also was Vince McMahon's fault for being too stubborn to see that Sting coming in and losing to Triple H at WrestleMania is not what the fans wanted to see. And I know their reasoning was that they thought that they were doing Triple H against The Rock at WrestleMania the following year, and that's why they sent Triple H back out there later that night with Stephanie to do the segment with The Rock and Ronda Rousey. They felt that Triple H had to win his match. Sting should not have lost to Triple H. That never should have even been the match to begin with. There was a match with The Undertaker that was right there for them, and they didn't take it. They made him the vigilante. That was their plan. He's the vigilante Sting, right? Them and their stupid names. And then he got hurt, and it would have been a very disappointing way for him to end his career if that was the end of it. He did it wrestling for the WWE title, but nobody wanted that to be the last image of Sting in a wrestling ring. AEW gave him a chance to write the final chapter of his story the way that he wants to. And I have just been enjoying him on TV while we still have him. There aren't a lot of those old guys left from that era that are still doing this. Jericho is still there, but honestly, that's about it. Now, he's got a 17-acre ranch, the article said, down in Texas. He met his wife after his run in WWE. She grew up in Germany, and he's always wanted to take her around to see the sights like the Grand Canyon and Mount Rushmore. He'll be able to do all of that once he wrestles that final match, and I will be sad to see him gone, but what a run. I mean, my God, what a run this guy's had across multiple promotions. It's got to be hard to be Sting, right? Think of all those years in TNA that Dixie kept bringing him back. The WWE run, now in AEW, man, it's tough being Sting, having all this money waved in your face to keep you coming back every single year. All right, well, what a tough life. But he has done this across multiple promotions, across multiple decades, going back to the 80s. You know, there were little Stingers buying his toys in the late 80s, and they'll be playing as him in the new AEW video game if it ever comes out. I wasn't a big WCW guy growing up. I was aware of it. I would watch it a little bit when it was on at my grandparents' house or whatever, but I was a WWF guy. But I knew Sting. There were certain guys that I knew. I knew Sting. I knew the Road Warriors. Sting I knew. I knew Surfer Sting, right? Then it became Crow Sting. There was nothing cooler as a wrestling fan than watching Sting come out on Nitro, drop the bat, and just beat the fuck out of all the NWO guys. And just watch the crowd absolutely lose their minds. Joker Sting in TNA. I know some people hated it, but I enjoyed it. I like the Joker Sting run. And the stuff that he has done in AEW, the cinematic match they started out with, tagging with Darby and CM Punk, wearing his face paint that night with Punk's logos and Punk wearing the Blade Runner face paint. It was very cool. And I hope that whatever he has planned, if he's even thought that far ahead yet, whatever he's got planned for the finale, I just hope he'll make it out in one piece, and he'll be able, unlike how his WWE run ended, to go out the way that he wants to. He said in the article, whatever I do, I want wrestling fans to say, that was incredible. I don't want them to walk away going, that was embarrassing. I just want it to be a great memory, and then to just finally, once and for all, say, adios. The end is near. Sting's future in AEW is coming to an end, and so too may be FTR's time in AEW. Dax Harwood, on his new podcast, said that he and Cash Wheeler were granted a few months off television by Tony Khan. He said, Tony has been nothing but top-notch to me and Cash since day one. There are things that we haven't agreed on as any boss and any employee, even any friend. There are times that I felt the boat was missed on opportunities for us. There were times that I was super happy with everything that we were doing. But there has come a time where we are on the tail end of our career. Right now, at this point in our career, is the most important time in our career. I mean that monetarily, creatively, and personally. It is the most important time in our career. With that being said, we have asked and been granted the next few months off television so we can sit back, reflect, decide, let our bodies heal, and figure out what we are going to do for the next few years. Whatever we decide to do next will be the absolute last thing we do as far as wrestling. By April, we will have an answer. I have to take my health, my family, my creativity, and I have to take my personal life all into consideration about what we are going to do next. I know what I want to do, but whatever we do, I just want to be respected. I feel we've done something so special in 2022, and most of that is in part to the fans. We deserve to continue to build on our legacy for ourselves, but also we owe it to the fans to build on that legacy because they made us this past year. I'm not sure exactly how long we'll be away. It may be all the way until the end of our contract. Our contract is up in April. There have been murmurs about April being the end date of their deals with AEW. Now it is confirmed. I still think they leave and they freelance on their own for a while before going back to WWE. I would love to see them stay in AEW and make one more run at the tag team titles there. You know, AEW hasn't always use them in the way that they should. Dax said as much in the comments. He is not wrong when he says that. But they were used a hell of a lot better than they were in WWE. And I know that Triple H has the book now and not Vince McMahon, but for how much longer? With all of the turmoil over there and Vince being back, it's only a matter of time before he gets his hands back on the book again, if he hasn't already. Do they really want to take that chance on a 3-year deal or a 5-year deal with WWE? Yeah, I mean, they could go back, they could work with the Usos and the New Day, and if we ever, get that DIY reunion on the main roster, that would be a fucking amazing thing to see those two teams back in the ring together. But unless it's just for the money, and they turned down a great money offer to not re-sign with WWE. They may feel like they're in a different place now, like Dax said, the tail end of their careers, where they just want to make as much money as they can and get out. And if that's the case, then by all means, take the money and run. But he talks about how much he values his creativity. He may not be able to get that in WWE. I know that, it hasn't always been, peaches and roses this past year for FTR and AEW. We could talk about all the booking flaws of Wardlow and FTR. But my feeling is that they'll end up back there before this year is over. They're going to end up back in WWE. They may feel like they have unfinished business there with the way their last run ended. I just hope for their sake that Triple H keeps his spot. Because if he doesn't, it's not going to end well for FTR. FTR is going to stand for feeling the regret.